All right, get ready because we're going deep today. Um, into some pretty thought-provoking ideas about the mind.
Ooh, sounds intense.
Yeah, you know those excerpts you gave us from Napoleon Hill's unpublished manuscript?
Yeah, the ones where he says he interviewed the devil.
Exactly, those. Hills uses that whole conversation to explore something he calls hypnotic rhythm and how it can affect our lives, you know?
Interesting.
Like, what if there are these, like, universal laws that are controlling our thoughts and our actions, but we don't even know they're there?
That's a pretty wild thought. I mean,
Yeah.
using a figure like the devil,
Yeah.
right? Someone usually associated with like deception and all that,
Right.
to reveal these profound truths about how we behave as humans. Interesting choice. Hill portrays him as like surprisingly insightful, almost like a twisted life coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he's giving us a peek behind the curtain of our own minds.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's try to understand this whole hypnotic rhythm thing. The devil, he defines it as a universal law, kind of like gravity. And he says it governs our thoughts and actions, making our dominant thoughts and habits permanent. He even says that he uses this law to, influence people.
So he's basically saying that we're all susceptible to like mental programming,
Yeah.
almost like we're on autopilot.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're just running on a program we didn't even write.
It's like, think of it this way, gravity, right? It doesn't care if you throw a ball up or down. It's still going to act on the object regardless.
Right.
So it's the same with hypnotic rhythm. Positive thought, negative thought, it doesn't matter. It just solidifies, makes permanent whatever's dominant in our minds.
Hmm.
And the devil, at least according to Hill, he exploits this,
Hmm.
right? By encouraging like negativity, fear, doubt, all that. He's pushing people towards thoughts that, limit their potential.
So he's kind of rigging the system.
Yeah, in a way.
So both success and failure, then they both come from this hypnotic rhythm.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot to process. Okay, but if the devil's so good at manipulating us, how do we break free?
Well, the devil actually gives us the answer himself. Definiteness of purpose.
Definiteness of purpose.
Yeah. He describes it as like making a conscious choice, choosing to direct our thoughts, our actions, towards a specific goal.
Okay, so being intentional.
Right, exactly. Breaking free from the grip of negativity and taking control of our mental landscape.
So we can actually fight back against this programming?
The craziest thing is the devil admits he can't control someone who has this definiteness of purpose.
Really? It's like he's revealing his weakness.
Yeah, like a chink in his armor.
So if I'm understanding this right, just having a clear goal and going after it, that can break this negative influence.
That's what Hill seems to be saying, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty empowering.
Right. Hill suggests we have way more power than we realize.
Hmm.
We're not just pawns in this game, you know? We can choose, we can direct our thoughts, we can shape our own reality.
Okay, so this whole shaping our reality thing, that takes us to the 7 principles for achieving freedom that the devil, of all beings, reveals to Hill.
Right. Spiritual, mental, and physical freedom.
It's almost like he's accidentally handing us the keys to defeat him.
Exactly. It's like a blueprint for breaking free from hypnotic rhythm.
Yeah.
For creating a life that's purposeful and fulfilling.
So what are these principles? Let's get a quick rundown before we get into the nitty-gritty.
All right, so the first one is definiteness of purpose, which we've already touched on.
Right.
Then there's mastery over self.
Oh.
Learning from adversity, controlling environmental influence, time-giving permanency to positive thought habits, harmony, which is acting with definiteness of purpose in all areas of your life, and then finally, caution.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. But this mastery over self idea, that really grabs my attention. We all struggle with, urges, impulses, those things, right?
Right, and the devil actually points to 3 specific appetites that we need to control. The desire for food,
Okay,
the desire for sex expression,
got it.
and the desire for expressing like loosely organized opinions.
Mm.
He suggests that if we overindulge in these areas, it weakens our willpower and makes us more vulnerable to manipulation.
So it's not just about resisting that extra slice of cake, right?
Yeah.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah, it's like a battle for control of our minds.
Okay, so how do we win that battle? It can't just be about saying no.
Well, the devil, surprisingly, offers some practical advice.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says to, like, transmute that energy, the energy from those desires, into something constructive.
Okay, so channel that energy.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
channel the energy of the sex drive into creative pursuits or the desire for expression into, meaningful conversations.
So not suppressing our desires, but transforming them. Interesting.
I know, right? Especially coming from the devil. Sounds kind of like a self-help guru there, doesn't he?
He does. It's like Hill's using the devil to make us question everything, even the things that seem negative.
Exactly. And see if we can learn something valuable from them, even from unexpected sources.
Okay, but life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, right? We've got setbacks, disappointments. Does the devil talk about that?
He does. And get this, he frames failure as like a potential turning point.
Wait, really?
Yeah. He even says failure is a state of mind, something an individual can control until he neglects to exercise this privilege.
So hold on. The devil is like pro-failure. That doesn't sound like him.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's making a point. He's saying that failure can break the hold of that negative hypnotic rhythm, force us to like rethink our path and build resilience.
Mm-hmm.
He's suggesting we can choose, see failure as a setback or as a chance to grow.
So failure's not always bad. It depends on how we see it and what we do with it.
Right. It does make you wonder, though, is he trying to trick us into embracing failure?
Maybe, maybe not. But either way, that's something to think about. His insights, even if they're manipulative, they make us confront our own beliefs about success and failure,
Right.
and whether we're really in control of our own destinies or not.
Good question.
You know, it's interesting. The devil keeps bringing up personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, he's saying we have more control over our lives than we think.
That's a big theme for Hill, for sure. He believed people have so much potential, but
What?
we get bogged down by negativity, self-doubt. You know, the
Yeah.
devil in this case is kind of like those internal forces that hold us back.
Okay, that makes sense. So we talked about mastering ourselves and learning from tough times, but what about the world around us? Can we really control our environment?
That's a good question.
It feels like there's so much like information overload
Right.
and other influences that shape how we think and act.
Yeah, and that's where the controlling environmental influence principle comes in.
Okay.
It's pretty surprising. But the devil, he gets it. He acknowledges how powerful our surroundings are, especially the people we hang out with.
You mean like if you hang out with negative people, you become more negative?
He's saying it can actually poison our minds.
Whoa, that's heavy.
Yeah. He suggests surrounding ourselves with like a mastermind group,
A mastermind group.
people who share our goals, offer support, positive reinforcement, that kind of thing.
So it's like building a wall of positivity, blocking out all the negativity from the outside world.
Kind of, yeah. But, I mean, it makes sense, but is it that easy to cut negative people out?
Right.
Especially like family
Yeah,
or really old friends?
it would be tough.
Yeah. The devil's not saying to isolate ourselves completely, though,
So what's he saying?
just to be mindful about what energy we let into our lives.
Be more deliberate about who we spend time with.
Exactly. Choose people who uplift us, challenge us to grow.
I like that. He really emphasizes our inner circle then.
He does. And he specifically talks about choosing the right marriage partner,
Oh, interesting.
someone who supports your goals.
Definiteness of purpose.
Right. He believes that relationship, more than any other, has a huge impact on our well-being.
And our ability to reach our goals. Okay, so that's our inner circle. But what about the bigger picture? Like, where does time fit into all of this?
Well, the devil, he sees time as this powerful force
Yeah.
that solidifies our thought habits, makes them stick. He calls time the fourth dimension, and he says it can work for us or against us.
Like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, like think of it like compound interest.
Okay.
If you invest in good thoughts, good actions, time multiplies that, makes it stronger.
But the same goes for negative thoughts, right?
Exactly. Time amplifies those too.
So every moment matters.
Every single one. The way we spend our time, the thoughts we focus on, it all shapes who we become.
Wow. So time doesn't play favorites.
Nope. It just reinforces whatever we feed it.
So the devil's saying we got to be careful about our thoughts.
Yeah. And cultivate those positive habits.
Time is precious. Use it wisely.
Exactly. It's a resource we need to manage. And the devil, he knows this.
He does.
He knows how powerful time is.
Yeah.
And how it can trap us, in those limiting beliefs and bad habits.
Yeah. So it's a fight for our minds against the clock.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
We got to stay aware of what we're thinking, what habits we're building.
That's right.
It can be a little scary,
It can, but it's also empowering, right?
It is.
We get to choose how we use our time.
We can choose things that make us better.
Activities, relationships, things that nourish us and get us closer to our goals.
Right. Or we can just let it slip away.
And let negativity take root.
That's a good point. Okay, so we've got definiteness of purpose, mastery over self, learning from adversity, controlling environmental influence, and time. That's 5.
Right.
What about the last 2? The ones that can help us reach true freedom.
The sixth one is harmony.
Harmony.
Yeah. It's about, like, aligning your actions with
Yeah.
your definiteness of purpose.
Across all areas of life.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Living a life that matches your values.
Okay.
Striving for balance between your inner world and the outer world.
So it's not just about setting a goal.
Nope.
You got to live it out.
Every part of your life.
Interesting.
Yeah, the devil, even though he's supposed to be all about chaos, right?
Mm.
He emphasizes order, integration.
Mm.
He's basically saying when our actions don't match our goals,
Or our beliefs.
right, we create conflict inside ourselves. It weakens us.
Almost like he's saying even he understands the importance of order.
Yeah. It's a weird contradiction, isn't it? Maybe
Yeah.
even the devil recognizes that real power
Comes from harmony.
within ourselves and with the world around us.
So how do we achieve that? What does harmony look like in real life?
It takes, like, constant self-reflection
Okay.
and being willing to adjust
Just well.
your actions, your relationships, making sure they line up with your purpose.
So always checking in, course correcting if needed.
Exactly. Making deliberate choices that get you closer to your goals.
And ditching the things that hold you back.
Exactly.
Almost like conducting an orchestra.
Ooh, I like that.
Making sure all the instruments are in sync, creating this beautiful symphony.
Instead of just noise.
Yeah, exactly. So harmony is about orchestrating your life,
That's a great way to put it.
making sure your thoughts, actions, and relationships are all working together.
To create this, like, cohesive and fulfilling experience.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay, that brings us to the last principle,
Caution.
caution.
Yeah. It's about thinking things through before you jump in.
Okay, planning, strategizing,
Right. Being deliberate.
not just being impulsive.
Exactly. Avoiding those hasty decisions that could lead you astray.
So taking a step back, looking at the potential consequences,
Mhm.
making smart choices.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the devil saying, hey, slow down.
Think before you act.
Right. Which, given his reputation for impulsiveness and chaos, is kind of surprising.
It is. But maybe even he understands that planning and thinking ahead are important.
He does. He even admits that rushing into things
Without thinking.
can backfire and really slow you down in the long run.
So he's warning us not to give in to our impulses.
To resist that urge to act without thinking things through.
Yeah. But isn't that his whole game plan, though? Tempting us with instant gratification
Yeah.
and leading us down the wrong path?
Right.
It's kind of a contradiction, isn't it?
It is. The devil reveals these principles, right?
Which are basically strategies for self-mastery.
Yeah, for success.
But at the same time, he embodies those forces that are trying to sabotage us.
Exactly. It's like he's acknowledging how powerful these principles are, but...
He's also challenging us to overcome his influence.
Exactly.
It's almost like he's saying, I dare you to prove me wrong. Like, show me you can resist temptation and build a meaningful life.
Exactly. Thiel is saying we've got to own our destinies.
Yeah.
We have the tools, these 7 principles, to fight back against negativity inside us and out in the world.
So we've got hypnotic rhythm, the devil spilling the beans, and these 7 principles. What's the takeaway for us, the people listening? How do we actually use this in our lives?
The big thing to remember is this. You are not just like a puppet of fate. You have choices. You have the power to decide what you think, to shape your habits, and at the end of the day, to create your own reality.
It's like we're waking up, right? Snapping out of this hypnotic trance. We realize we had the power to break free the whole time.
That's a great way to put it. And that's what Hill was going for. He wanted to empower people, show them they're not victims of circumstance, but creators of their own lives.
So even the devil, the king of negativity, admits that purpose and self-mastery are the keys to freedom. Shouldn't we take his advice?
It's definitely worth thinking about. Hill is telling us to face our inner demons, those voices of fear and doubt that keep us playing it safe. He's urging us to step up and build a life that matches our deepest values and dreams.
So it's not just about ambition, right? These principles, they apply to everything. Our relationships, our work, how we impact the world.
Absolutely. The 7 principles are like a guide to living with more awareness and intention. They tell us to take a look at our relationships, the environment around us, even how we use our time, and make sure everything is supporting our well-being and helping us reach our goals.
So it's a whole life approach to growth then. It's not just about success in one area, but in every area.
Exactly. Hill thought true success isn't just money or achievements, but living a life that has meaning and purpose, and giving back, too. These 7 principles show us how to get there.
Okay, so as we finish up, I want to leave you with some things to think about. Which of these principles speaks to you the most? Where in your life could you use them? Are you ready to step up, take control, and build the reality you want?
Remember, the journey of growth never really ends. There will be bumps in the road, challenges. But when you use these principles, when you focus on purpose and mastering yourself, you can get through those tough times. You come out stronger, more resilient, and yeah, ultimately more free.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the power of the mind. We hope you learned something that you can use in your own life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep reaching for a life full of purpose and meaning.